Well, what's happened right now? Well, Prime Minister Modi has just landed in Abu Dhabi, and that's at the start of a 3-day visit to two Gulf nations, that is the UAE as well as Qatar. UAE first and then Qatar. These are the images that we've just got a few minutes ago from, in fact, these are the images of his departure from Delhi a couple of hours back, and he's just landed in Abu Dhabi as well. This, as you can read on the screen as well, is the first leg of his Gulf nations visit to the United Arab Emirates. The second part will take him to Doha in Qatar, where he'll meet the Emir of Qatar as well. India and UAE are comprehensive strategic partners. We have a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the UAE as well, which has been in effect for more than a year now. And there's a deal on currencies as well, so that they can deal with each other directly instead of using the US dollar as an intermediary. That has also been put to effect where India and UAE is concerned. Both the nations have comprehensive ties from trade to commerce to investment to defense, and we'll be talking about that as well through the course of this special presentation. Now, Prime Minister Modi has shared his departure statement ahead of his departure for the UAE and Qatar. He said the various engagements and events in the UAE and Qatar will deepen India's bilateral relations. Prime Minister Modi noted that this is his 7th visit to the UAE after assuming office, indicating the priority India attaches to strong India-UAE friendship. He further said that he looks forward to meeting UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan in Abu Dhabi. He also said that he'll hold wide-ranging discussions on taking forward the India-UAE Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi will also inaugurate the first Hindu temple in Abu Dhabi. In addition, he'll also address the Indian diaspora at a community program in Abu Dhabi at a stadium. Prime Minister Modi will also speak at the World Government Summit and meet Sheikh Mohammed in Dubai. And in Doha, the Indian PM will meet Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. He said India and Qatar enjoy historically close and friendly relations. Now, ahead of his visit to the UAE, Prime Minister Modi praised the Indian diaspora as well for their efforts to deepen India's engagement with the world. Sharing a post on X, the PM said, and I quote, "We're very proud of our diaspora and their efforts to deepen India's engagement with the world. This evening, I look forward to being among UAE's Indian diaspora at the Ahlan Modi program. Do join this memorable occasion." Now, a key highlight of the Prime Minister's visit to the UAE would be the inauguration of the BAPS Hindu Mandir in Abu Dhabi on the 14th of February, which is tomorrow. DD India's correspondent Meghna Dev brings you more from the temple.
In the beautiful desert expanse of Abu Dhabi's Abu Murayqa district is this structure emerging from the sands. This structure is also now being known as the lotus in the desert because it's carved out of pink sandstone. Italian marbles and much more has been carved so that it gets this beautiful shape, and it's a testimony, it's a testament to timeless craftsmanship and obviously the Indian intricacy in terms of art, culture, tradition is all depicted on the walls of this beautiful BAPS Hindu temple. I will also take you inside to show you the intricacy of the art that's depicted inside the temples under the 7 spires that make this temple as beautiful as it meets the eye. We are inside the BAPS Hindu temple, the highly anticipated temple where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be coming, and we'll be inaugurating it on 14th of February on his visit to UAE. To show you around, my camera person will pan for you and show you the beautiful visuals of this temple, the height, the depth and the intricacy of the art, craftsmanship, which is a testament to what India has to offer in terms of its crafts, timeless crafts that has been depicted here. We obviously see this beautiful structure. When generally people visit Abu Dhabi, this structure transcends them from the general Abu Dhabi in terms of luxury hotels, racing car arenas and much more, to beautiful spiritual place and everything that depicts Indian craftsmanship, Indian culture, Indian tradition and more. With my colleague Ashwini Mishra and camera person Pramod Negi, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Abu Dhabi.
All right, let's talk about this further. We have joining us now Ambassador Sanjay Bhattacharya, former Secretary MEA, as well as Dr. Anshu Joshi, Professor School of International Studies at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. Good afternoon to you both. First, to you, Ambassador Bhattacharya, what do you make of this prospect that Prime Minister Modi is now in Abu Dhabi, and it's his 7th trip ever since he got into the Prime Minister's chair? In 2015, he made the first trip, and so much has happened through the course of these years as far as India-UAE ties are concerned, haven't they?
It is indeed, because I think for us in the Gulf region, the relations with the United Arab Emirates has been particularly significant and beneficial to both sides. We had started, as you know, with an energy and manpower security equation, but over time this has grown to various other dimensions, such that we not only look at the aspects of food security, education security, health security, but UAE is for us like a launchpad into the region. And similarly for UAE, the relations with India have blossomed, and we are in a much deeper footprint collaborating on regional and global issues. And this is the way the relationship will go forward, which is a future-oriented partnership. The other aspect that is extremely important about the United Arab Emirates is that it is also home to the largest contingent of Indian diaspora overseas, with over 3 million people who live in the UAE. And therefore, that is another added aspect of the relations, which is extremely significant. So it is but natural that Prime Minister attaches the highest importance to our relations with the Gulf region and with the UAE in particular, where we have a comprehensive partnership, and we would like to take this further to the next level.
Yes, certainly. Now, the dimension that has been added by the SEPA, Professor Joshi, do you think, and the LCS, that is a local currency exchange sort of a scenario that has happened, it's more recent than the SEPA, but to what extent do you think it will change the dynamics of the relationship further, make it even stronger?
Indeed, and first, let me congratulate each and everyone living in India and UAE for this historic event that we are going to observe tomorrow with this formal inauguration of the first Hindu temple built in UAE by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. It's going to spell trust, transparency and truth. And would indeed be taking both the nations to scale the new heights of their bilateral relations. And coming to your question now, if we see in past 1 year, both the nations have tried a lot to take their economic relationship to the next level. And 5 high-level visits by the top leaders of both the nations took place in 2023. Our Prime Minister Modi visited to Abu Dhabi last year, and several MOUs were signed. And in these MOUs, significant areas such as co-investments, green energy, science and technology, local currency settlement, and payment and messaging systems were covered. And when the UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed visited Gujarat this year, again several agreements were signed, and proceeding with the commitment to create a roadmap for future covering SEPA as well as increasing investment into each other seems to be the agenda of both the nations. And we should not forget that both the nations are among each other's top trading partners list. We both have a bilateral trade of about 85 billion USD, and UAE is also among our top top 4 investors in terms of FDIs. Indeed, UAE is an important economic center, not only in the context of West Asia, but also globally, and it has a strategic location. And now it is trying to diversify its economy, and there for the successful diversification of its economy, it is looking forward to India. So I'm really hopeful that during this visit of our Honorable Prime Minister, some significant achievements we would be able to see.
All right. Ambassador Bhattacharya, we've also seen how, well, just yesterday it was in Mauritius and in Sri Lanka that the UPI became operational. Mauritius also going for the RuPay cards. We've seen that happen earlier in the case of the UAE. To what extent does that add to the dimension of how easily people, not just governments and corporations can do business with each other, but people can do business with each other in India and UAE?
You see, the spectacular growth that India has achieved in recent times has made India a major factor in global developments. So not only does India's growth matter to the world, what the world does also matters to us. And increasingly, we will find that India will be more closely integrated in the process of globalization, in which our capital, our finances will have a greater say, in which our human resources, our technologies will have a greater say. And it is with this purpose in mind that increasingly we find that there are many countries with which we are now entering into preferential arrangements in the case of trade and investment, financial transactions, and so that we can have a more meaningful impact on the future developments that are going to shape the world today. The UAE, as you well know, has been a player that has always been above the curve, which has been ahead of the curve in terms of incorporating new ideas and bringing about greater dynamism in relationships. And in that, India has always been a very, very forceful and enthusiastic partner to UAE's ambitions. And so UAE and India today have that synergy. What we see in terms of the, particularly what you mentioned about the use of local currency, the use of the RuPay cards, for instance, and the trade and investments in local currencies, will see a great fillip in terms of the kind of levels that we achieve in both these cases. And therefore, this is going to be mutually beneficial for the economic development, not only of the two countries, but of the projects that we take up in third countries, as well as the way the regional dynamics evolve over time. So this is a very significant aspect of our economic cooperation. The other thing that was going to be extremely important as well is the way that we shape the future logistics chains. And as you know, there are discussions ongoing for the India-Middle East-Europe corridor, economic corridor, in which, again, the UAE will play a very significant role along with other partners in the Gulf. And again, these are aspects that are looking at how we can leverage the future towards a more dynamic world.
Well, certainly. I'll just come to you, Professor Joshi, but I'm being told that we're also joined by my colleague Meghna Dev, who's in Abu Dhabi, and today's events are all unfolding in Abu Dhabi. Meghna, just tell us what can we expect, because it's a packed day for Prime Minister Modi in Abu Dhabi today with all the bilateral engagements and then the big event as well at the stadium.
Yes, obviously, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has a bilateral today with the President of UAE, and after that, he will be coming to the Zayed Sports Stadium, where I am currently, at, and I will show you the visuals first, because people have already started coming in for the community event, which is being told that it is the largest Indian community event in UAE, and this is really beautiful because we have seen a number of people already here, and the excitement is very palpable. People are happy, since morning we have been seeing that people have been making all the arrangements. The cultural team is here, which will be performing different dance tunes, different music, and will be obviously showcasing the culture and heritage of India. I would like to speak to a few of them. Can you guys, encapsulate for us what's the excitement like? What are you performing today?
Yeah, actually we are representing the Bengal team. We're really very, very excited to
part of this historic moment and Modi coming to our, UAE, and it's also like, it's like mini India, you can see. Absolutely. We have been practicing really hard for a long time. Yes, so definitely, as she said, that mini India, I will take you inside to show you some more glimpses of what's in store in terms of the cultural performances that have been lined up at the Zayed City Stadium. And will be all about tradition, culture. Tell us what's the excitement like? What are you feeling? We are performing Kerala. We are showing different traditions of Kerala. The traditional dances, Bhattacharya, of course, we have practically representation now. We have Bhattacharya, Kuchipudi, we have Joshi dance. We have a variety of dance groups here with us. Yeah. And the excitement was high. We are so excited. We are so happy. Dance and music, what's enough? And
All right, we could see Meghna Dev there live joining us from the Zayed Sports City in Abu Dhabi, where the Prime Minister's Indian diaspora, that is the Indian community program, will be taking place. It's called Ahlan Modi or Welcome Modi, and we'll be showing that live to you as and when that happens later in the day. But let me take you back to Professor Joshi of the JNU and talk about how relations have been progressing between India and the UAE. Professor Joshi, we've seen how this relationship, as Ambassador Bhattacharya also mentioned, has evolved from just trading and security partnership, energy partnership, to other dimensions as well. Now, added to these dimensions are the challenges of the future as well, such as technology like AI or sustainability and climate. How do you think India and UAE working together to take on these challenges?
Definitely, we have certain global objectives as well as the challenges to look after. And India is playing a significant role through its bilateral relations as well as its multilateral relations, as in the key members of various multilateral platforms, to find sustainable solutions multilaterally of these challenges. And UAE is its partner on different forums, I would say. So, for example, UAE was a special invitee of the G20 summit held in New Delhi, hosted by India as the president of G20 last year. Then UAE was also invited to SCO as a dialogue partner last year. UAE also participated with India as the new member nation of BRICS. So both the nations are bilaterally also emerging as positive partners, wherein both are trying to contribute to these objectives as well as finding the solutions of the challenges. At the same time, both are playing positive role in different multilateral platforms. For example, India, France, UAE trilateral was launched last year to find the sustainable solutions of different objectives or challenges such as climate change containment or economic issues, or for that matter energy security and so on. And we do see both the nations are progressing in a positive direction. Last month itself, for the first time, this military exercise between the two nations was held in Rajasthan. It's known as a desert cyclone. So we can understand that how gradually that trust has been built between the relations of both the nations. Both are also actively pursuing FTAs with several important other countries, and here both the nations have certain strengths. So for example, I would like to focus on UAE. If we look forward to UAE, UAE is also a member nation of GCC, that is Gulf Cooperation Council, and because of that UAE has free trade access to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Bahrain and Qatar and Oman and Jordan, Egypt, Iraq, and the list is long. So through that, India also gets an access if it works as a partner through any FTA with the UAE. Similarly, India is also working as a very strong multilateral player presently, with very good relations with United States of America, equally with Russia and its other neighboring countries as well. So considering that, I think I'm really hopeful that since both the nations belong to two different worlds, but coming under this one umbrella of contributing positively to global good, both would be able to contribute positively in this direction.
Well, certainly. Ambassador, if I could again come to you and ask you about how India and UAE are jointly taking on the challenge of climate change. We've seen the hosting of the climate conference as well in the UAE, and there as well we saw how the two leaders took part in these multilateral partnerships that will lead to possible solutions to parts of the challenge, at least if not in its entirety.
Well, UAE has emerged as a very strong regional player as well. And therefore, in addition to the very strong and stable and growing bilateral relations that we have with the UAE, their participation in regional and global issues is extremely important. I think it was just mentioned that India and UAE are partners in a number of regional and plurilateral body as well. For instance, we have a partnership with GCC. We work together on IORA, which is the Indian Ocean Rim. We also work together on BRICS now, where UAE has become a new partner and member. We also look forward to UAE's role in the United Nations, where it is currently in a very significant role as a member of the Security Council, as a non-permanent member. Today, when there are so many issues that are present, particularly in the region, the role of UAE has grown even further. You're all aware that in the West Asian Middle East region, there is a certain issue that is ongoing even as we speak, and UAE has been at the forefront of trying to forge commonalities so that the Israel-Palestine issue can be resolved more harmoniously. And this is also, for instance, one of the issues that would come up. I think the primary focus for us will be on the ways in which we can make the world a better place. And in that, not only will the rules of how we work together on regional and multilateral fora and how we govern ourselves, but also issues like how we have better exchanges in terms of the new technologies that are coming about, the new logistics opportunities that are to be created. And UAE is going to be critical in this. We have a very strong science and technology partnership with the United Arab Emirates. As you know, the UAE has emerged as a very solid education center, as a global hub for education, and India has also contributed to that development significantly. The one big spin-off of that is how we collaborate on knowledge-related issues, on AI, for instance, on blockchain, for instance, and how we can work together towards increasing the efficiencies of transactions. And UAE has been a very strong partner of that. But the other focus will be, I suspect, on the regional issues when Prime Minister has his interactions at the regional and multilateral events that are going to take place. As you know, when these multilateral events take place, part of the idea is to work on the agenda that is there for that multilateral body, and Prime Minister is going to be in Dubai for that. But also, it helps a very great purpose in meeting with various other global and regional leaders and in sorting out many of the issues that might be there or advancing the partnership that we have with them. So it serves both these purposes extremely well. And Prime Minister has such a strong rapport with the leaders in the region. He's seen as a brother by all the Gulf leaders and the other Arab leaders over there. So he will actually be able to leverage India's advantage and India's contribution towards the future of humanity in a much more meaningful manner.
Well, certainly. I think you're referring to the World Government Summit there as well a bit, which is to take place in Dubai, and Prime Minister Modi will be giving a keynote speech there as a guest of honor. My colleague Dibendu Mondal is on the phone line with me from Dubai at the moment. Dibendu, what all can you tell us about this event that is taking place in Dubai, World Government Summit, and how would Prime Minister Modi be contributing to it?
Well, Gautam, the Prime Minister has been invited as a guest of honor for the World Government Summit, which is in fact a 3-day summit which began yesterday. And tomorrow would be the closing, that is the 14th of February, where the Prime Minister is slated to speak at the World Government Summit and deliver a keynote address. He has been invited as a guest of honor by the President and the Vice President of the UAE, which includes the royal family of of Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So, of course, Prime Minister has shared a personal relationship with both the leaders and, in fact, all the leaders of the UAE. This, in fact, is significant because he'll be addressing a large business gathering as well. He will also be talking about significant understanding in the sectors like artificial intelligence, sustainability, and good governance and better governance. So, this World Government Summit, in fact, is a huge platform for which government leaders from across the world gathers to deliberate on the better governance methods and futuristic technologies to govern people better and to provide them with better facilities. Also, there has been a display of flying air taxi, which is perhaps being considered as the future of mobility. So, these are some of the aspects, including artificial intelligence. So these are some of the aspects which will be dwelled upon at the World Government Summit. And, apart from that, the Prime Minister also is slated to hold at least two bilaterals with important countries. And the Prime Minister will also be signing some MOUs with the UAE government. So, tomorrow would be a full, the first half of tomorrow will, of course, be a packed schedule with all government, dealing happening with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well as the UAE leadership here in Dubai.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us from Dubai, the Bendu Mandal. Let me bring in Professor Anshu Joshi again. Professor Joshi, in terms of how Dubai again becomes a sort of a center of not just trade in the world, but even exchange of ideas. We've seen Prime Minister Modi participate in other events in the past as well. Could you tell us in terms of what sort of a global coalescence of opinion happens and then action follows when such events take place around the world?
To me, these events are very important because they provide an arena, they provide a stage to not only the governments of different nations, but also to the other thought leaders, for that matter, industry leaders, other partners, other stakeholders that keep contributing to global politics and international relations in one or the other way to come onto such stages and discuss and come up with the sustainable solutions of different challenges. So these events are very, very important from future's point of view. For example, tomorrow this international summit is going to take place in which our Honorable Prime Minister would also speak, and leaders from different nations and different NGOs and international institutes would speak on different themes such as the future of AI, such as the future of our societies, future of our education, future of government, sustainable development, and so on. So basically, it's like it provides an opportunity to churn the ideas and to come up with such illuminating thoughts that can actually light up our lives. And everybody wants to live a better life. And for that, such kind of events are really important, as in they provide a space for discourse, for dialogue.
Well, certainly. The other issue that perhaps, again, Ambassador Bhattacharya, that could be taken up when the leaders meet in Abu Dhabi is how the oil market has been performing, because not just the UAE, even Qatar is part of OPEC, and they're the ones who determine how oil is traded in the world. Do you think that is something that could be a part of the talks as well?
I'm certain any discussion in the Gulf region, which is the energy center of global transactions, this issue will certainly come up. We have a very very stable relationship so far as our energy security dialogue is concerned, with the entire region, in fact. With many of the countries, we import large amounts of petroleum and gas. We also have strategic partnerships in the energy sector, in which we work towards oil reserves, dialogue, so that we can have better supplies and better prices, because after all, at the end of the day, the price of oil is a very large determinant of the cost of development that every developing country has to go through. What we also work together, particularly with countries like the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, are the collaboration issues regarding upstream and downstream collaboration, not only in each other's countries, but also in third country locations. So as you know, for instance, in some of the refineries that we are working on are with partners in the Gulf region. We're also looking at prospecting in different parts of the world where there is a component of investments from the Gulf region. So energy will be a very, very critical issue. The other reason why this has become very critical today is because of the very slightly volatile situation in the region, because of which there are certain uncertainties and which leads to fluctuations and uncertainties regarding them.
Abu Dhabi, where it seems Prime Minister Modi is being given a guard of honor. Prime Minister Modi inspecting a guard of honor there in Abu Dhabi, where he's arrived a short while ago for a 2-day visit to the UAE. That is Abu Dhabi, the capital of the UAE, and Prime Minister Modi there for a 2-day visit to that country. Well, there you saw Prime Minister Modi getting a guard of honor at the time of his arrival in Abu Dhabi. He was accompanied, I'm not sure if it was Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Prime Minister of the UAE, but it did look like him. But we'll have to wait for confirmation on that in just a bit. Ambassador Bhattacharya, I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were talking about how the partnership is being taken forward in different domains, which are global concerns as well.
Yes, we were talking about how close the partnership has been on energy security, and obviously that will be an item of discussion. The other one, which is one of the old areas of cooperation, which I mentioned briefly earlier, is one of human or manpower security. And this is something in which India has been a very close partner of the Gulf region, including the United Arab Emirates, for a very, very long time. You know, the relations between India and this region go back very long in history, and our exchanges have gone on for millennia. But today, I think what we see is that there is a new dynamic in this particular movement. What we've been able to achieve with the United Arab Emirates in particular is very strong partnerships which are based on the mobility partnerships between countries, which go beyond the usual labor contracts that we used to have in the past. And therefore, the kind of skills that we provide our people, both the skilling back in India as well as upgrading the skills in UAE itself, have become more important over time. And what this does is it provides greater security of employment and also greater remuneration to the Indians who go and work in the Gulf region. And therefore, this is a very new element in our partnership. We've also seen that particularly in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, the nature of our contribution of the manpower has changed very, very dramatically, in which we are now more significantly in managerial and professional capacities, contributing to the growth and development of the UAE itself. And this is something that the Arab leaders acknowledge in all the meetings that we have with them about the huge contribution of the Indian diaspora to their own growth, to the growth of the countries that they have come and started working in. And this is another very strong element. And I'm so happy that Prime Minister is also going to be taking the opportunity to meet with the Indian community over there, which is a very vibrant community and adds great flavor to the relationship that is emerging, always emerging and growing between the two of us.
It's certainly more than 3.5 million strong, and I guess the Prime Minister will be raising issues which are of significance to the community as well, the Indian diaspora. They are always contributing to the Indian economy through the remittances, and perhaps Professor Joshi, further bringing down the cost of sending those remittances is something that the Prime Minister might have on his agenda as well, as far as the talks this time around are concerned.
Yes, it could be on the agenda, and unless and until the formal announcements are made or the leaders come up with the focused issues, it would not be apt to comment on what is definitely going to be signed between the two nations. But yes, I do see an onus on development of both the nations, ranging from economic development to social development to defense and strategic development. And for that matter, wherever UAE would need any kind of help, India definitely would be ready for that, and India has been helping UAE. And on the other hand, we have also seen UAE as one of the strongest trading partners of India. And I would say that in this visit, the focus should also be on educational sector and healthcare sector. There could be multi-dimensional MOUs, there could be multi-dimensional agreements, there could be multi-dimensional programs between the two nations, as in we have seen that relationship has only strengthened in past 2 years. And this warmth of the relationship could be seen here in the chemistry of the two leaders. And so I can definitely say, at least on this one part, that we would be hearing some positive news contributing to the growth of both the nations in a positive manner.
Well, certainly. In terms of other key global concerns, we've seen how the issue of supply chains, securing the supply of critical minerals has been a concern for almost every country. India definitely to a certain extent for the UAE as well. Do you think that is something that the leaders might deliberate upon as well, Ambassador Bhattacharya?
Well, certainly the supply chain and value chain is something that India and the Emirates have been working very closely on. The world has got so much more integrated in recent times that it is extremely important to have very smooth logistics and also very open agreements on which these supply chains and value chains can be developed further. Because unless we have efficient economic transactions, we will not be able to be competitive in the new global economy. This also means that when we are trying to develop new technologies, and that's another area in which the Emirates is a very strong partner of India, is that we are collaborating in science and technology, in research, and in the knowledge sector, so that we can meaningfully participate in the new developments and the new achievements that are going to be there in the world tomorrow. And so things like AI and blockchain, as I mentioned, are going to be some of the key issues in that. We will perhaps also see that our partnership in some of the other trade and services issues will also get strengthened. It's a very strong partnership already, but the kind of collaboration that we can provide to the region and to the Emirates in particular is very, very significant. They rely a lot on the expertise that India brings to the table when it is about adding value to the economic exchange. So that will certainly be a very important part. On critical elements, on critical minerals and material, this is an area in which we are also looking at exploring some of the third country participations that we are engaged in. And therefore, some of the strategic understandings that we have with other countries and the trilaterals that we have with the United Arab Emirates on that will also play a role.
Certainly. We're once again playing up images of how Prime Minister Modi, upon his arrival in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, got a guard of honor, and accompanying him was the President of the UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. You can see those images again on the screen. An honor for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, inspecting a guard of honor at the start of his 2-day UAE visit, which will take him first. As you can see, he's in Abu Dhabi and then on to Dubai as well before he moves on to Doha in Qatar. An overall 3-day visit that Prime Minister Modi has just began upon his arrival in Abu Dhabi. Professor Anshu Joshi, we can see the images and the kind of reception that Prime Minister Modi's got at the highest level in the UAE. Tells us about how the UAE values ties with India. What can you tell us about that?
Indeed, it seems to be a beautiful welcome. And last year also our Honorable Prime Minister visited UAE and he received similar welcome with great warmth. And for UAE, India is a prioritized strategic partner at present, I would say, because of India's geostrategic location, India's preferences, and India's role in different multilateral platforms. And for UAE, India has always proved its trusted friendship and its transparent role, I would say, in the bilateral relations between the two nations. And I also stated that how UAE is trying to diversify its economy. From its conventional oil and gas based economy, it is looking forward to the futuristic ways to develop and to strengthen its economy. And there it looks forward at India as a trusted partner. As our Honorable Prime Minister also stated during a press conference, that the relationship between the two nations spells trust, transparency, and truth. So based on that, for UAE, India remains a prioritized partner, and that is why we can see joint military exercises and deep cooperation in the area of defense and securities in past 2 years, I would say, between the two nations. Apart from that, a very powerful Indian diaspora lives in UAE, and that contributes not only to the economy of India but to economy of UAE as well, to the market of UAE as well. And this diaspora is peace-loving. This diaspora contributes positively to the economy, and that is why through this diaspora also India proves to be a great partner in the development journey of UAE considering the future. So I would say that for UAE, India is of equal prioritized significance. The same way UAE stands as a prioritized partner in West Asia for India. So the relationship is reciprocal.
Yes, certainly. Now, Ambassador Bhattacharya, in terms of India and the UAE, there's been a lot of emphasis on better connectivity as well. We've seen how that relationship has progressed in terms of the movement of people. But there is definitely scope for more to be done, which is why they've had that partnership that was announced as well during the G20 summit that took place in India. Do you think that will be further worked upon this time around?
Well, that is an ongoing process to improve connectivity. And connectivity, the demand for connectivity comes when there is a meaningful contribution of the people themselves, and that has already been proven. Today, I think if we look at the data, UAE is one of the best served destinations in the Gulf region from India. There are probably over 800 flights on a weekly basis, which go to about 20-odd destinations in India directly. So the connectivity is already deep, but given the deeper level of engagement, this is something that will continue to grow over time. The new connectivity that we are looking for, and I'd mentioned earlier, is about the economic corridor that is being talked about.
That's right.
There has been a fair amount of groundwork that has been done at the official and technical level, and we now have to implement it. Once that is done, which is the IMEC that I'm referring to, you will find that that region will have connectivity, not only in terms of trade and investment, which is one of the obvious things that comes about, but also in terms of how we collaborate in terms of our resources, not only of energy, but also of data, for instance, which is now becoming increasingly important, how data transfers take place, how the security of those things are going to be taken into account. And finally, how we bridge the innovation gap that is necessary so that we can be ahead at all times in the future as well. Because technology is developing so rapidly and innovation is such a strong element of that technological development that in order to be ahead in this newly competitive and globalized world, it is very essential to have these innovation bridges. And for us in the Gulf region, the Emirates is one of our preeminent partners in this particular sector. So I think when we look at the broader issue of connectivity, there are many aspects and many facets that have come about which go beyond the traditional understanding of connectivity that we used to talk in the past.
Certainly, I mean, there's logistics rolled into it as well, and we'll talk about that too. But let me once again bring in my colleague from Dubai, Dibendu Mondal, on the phone line. Dibendu, you've been in Dubai talking to people there as well. Can you tell us, in terms of what are the expectations of the people there for this visit? We're now, in fact, getting images, live images of talks that are taking place between the leaders of the two sides as well. These are, as you can see, formal talks taking place because Prime Minister Modi's bilateral with his counterparts in the UAE was scheduled for right after his arrival in Abu Dhabi, and we're getting those images on the screen as well. He's holding talks with the UAE President Zayed Al Nahyan, and these are the delegation level talks, it seems that we're getting the images of.
कहाँ मैं पूरी तरह उसको फील करता हूँ। मुझे हमेशा लगा है कि जब मैं आपके पास आया हूँ, आप लोगों के बीच आया हूँ, तब हमेशा लगा है कि जैसे मैं अपने ही घर में आया हूँ, अपने ही परिवार के ही सदस्यों के साथ मैं मिलने आया हूँ। ऐसा मैं हमेशा अनुभव कर रहा हूँ और हमारे संबंधों की गहनता ऐसी है, पिछले 7 महीने में हम 5 बार मिले हैं। ये शायद बहुत रेयर होता है। मुझे भी यहाँ 7 बार आने का अवसर मिला है। यानी एक हमारी निकटता है और हर क्षेत्र में हम लोग जिस प्रकार से आगे बढ़े हैं और आज भारत और यूएई के बीच में हर क्षेत्र में एक साझी भागीदारी हो रही है। आज भी हम कई महत्वपूर्ण फैसले करने जा रहे हैं। हम यूपीआई मेरा और हमारा जीवन कार्ड, इन दोनों का एक प्रकार से एक नया युग शुरू हो रहा है फिनटेक का, और ये भी अपने आप में बहुत बड़ा है। उसी प्रकार से मैं आपका हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करना चाहूँगा कि आप समय निकाल करके मेरा निमंत्रण स्वीकार करके मेरे होम स्टेट आए। वाइब्रेंट गुजरात समिट को आपने एक नई ऊंचाई दी और उसके कारण उसका गौरव भी बढ़ा है, विश्व में उस इवेंट की भी प्रतिष्ठा बढ़ी है। तो आपका आना और आपने वहां जो उद्बोधन किया वो आज भी हमारे देश के लोगों के लिए बड़ा प्रेरक है, उत्साहवर्धक है। मैं इसके लिए भी आपका आभारी हूं। आपकी भारत के प्रति जो लगाव है और आपकी यूएई के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए जो विजन है, उसका एक उदाहरण मैं देख रहा हूं। यहां बीएपीएस का मंदिर बनना आपके सहयोग के बिना ये संभव ही नहीं था। और मेरी पहली मुलाकात थी, मैंने सिंपली आपको रिक्वेस्ट की कि जरा आप देख लीजिए, और पलक झपकते ही आपने उसका निर्णय करके मुझे बता दिया कि आप बस जगह पर ऐसे उंगली रख दीजिए, आपको जगह मिल जाएगी। शायद इतना विश्वास, इतना प्यार अपने आप में एक बहुत ही अनोखे संबंधों की ये शक्ति को दर्शाता है। ब्रदर, मैं ये भी खुशी की बात है आज कि हम लोग बायलैटरल इन्वेस्टमेंट ट्रीटी करने जा रहे हैं। इसका भी एक लंबा प्रभाव होने वाला है और मैं मानता हूं खास करके G20 समूह के देश हैं, उनके लिए भी एक बहुत बड़ी खबर बनेगी है कि यूएई और भारत इस महत्वपूर्ण दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। आईमेक में जिस प्रकार से आपका सहयोग मिला है, आपने आईमेक को आगे बढ़ाने की दिशा में जो काम किया है, वो मैं मानता हूं पूरे इस क्षेत्र के लिए उसको जोड़ने का तो काम करेगा ही, लेकिन आर्थिक विकास के एक नए द्वार खोलेगा। हमारी आने वाली पीढ़ियां जरूर इस आईमेक को लेकर के सोचेगी कि ऐसे भी हमारे प्रेसिडेंट थे कि जिन्होंने दुनिया को दिशा दिखाई और इतना बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण कार्य आने वाली पीढ़ियों के लिए आपने किया है। आदरणीय हाइनेस, मैं ब्रदर ये भी कहूंगा कि आज जो हमारे भारतीय समुदाय का जो एक पब्लिक इवेंट हो रहा है, मुझे बताया गया कि हजारों की तादाद में लोग आ रहे हैं। ये आपके सहयोग के बिना, आपके प्यार के बिना संभव नहीं है और इसके लिए भी मैं हृदय से आपका बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
पहले की और निश्चित तौर से कई क्षेत्रों में ये समझौते हुए हैं।
Big news.
जी हाँ, दोनों ही लीडरशिप ने एक दूसरे के साथ दोनों देशों के संबंधों
as well. You can see an exchange of documents taking place, a flurry of documents or multiple agreements and MOUs there being exchanged from the Indian side. It's the Foreign Secretary, Mr. Quatra, and I'm sure it would be his counterpart from the other side as well. But as you can see, that's the exchange of agreements and MOUs taking place between the two sides. And both the leaders also appreciating that with applause. The Prime Minister also mentioned how UPI has been brought in to the UAE and how that is going to be taken further with another card. So more financial integration, good news for fintechs between in India as well as the UAE. But the topmost information that he disclosed in his brief address there in Hindi was that there will be an investment treaty between India and UAE. I believe that document has been exchanged now. So if I could ask you, Ambassador Bhattacharya, what do you make of an investment treaty? We already have a SEPA, we have something going on currencies as well, and now we're going to have an investment treaty with the UAE too.
Well, these are the two top economic agreements to have an FTA or SEPA, which we already have, and the other is the investment part. If I recall, India and UAE had signed an investment treaty, bilateral investment protection and promotion agreement. We call it BIPA, which was signed 10 years ago, and it was up for renewal. And I think what we've done now is probably have an upgraded version of that, but I shall wait for the report from the Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of Finance to see the exact details of that. In any case, it is an extremely important document because it provides that guarantee for investments, which has become much more common today between our two countries. And that assurance, that transparency that Prime Minister talked about is so important. The trust level that is enjoyed between the two partners. We've seen a very large number of Indian companies that are now operating in the UAE in various sectors, and similarly a number of Emirati companies in logistics and infrastructure and communications are now also operational in India. So this is a partnership that is only going to grow, and therefore both the SEPA, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, and the BIPA will be extremely crucial for providing the guarantees to the business houses for this area to grow even further.
Certainly. Dr. Joshi, your first reactions, Ambassador Bhattacharya saying that this was a treaty that was there earlier and it's perhaps been renewed, perhaps it has some new elements added to it as well.
Certainly, I agree with the ambassador, and maybe the focused areas that the leaders must have collected during their sideline conversations, also during various international events, could
be the PM mentioned vibrant Gujarat as well.
Yes, and that is what we discussed, that how our Prime Minister, he visited last year, and how the Chief of UAE visited this and attended this vibrant Gujarat summit, and that is what our Honorable Prime Minister thanked him for in his address. So I think some prioritized areas for future must be there in the document, and I hope that soon that document would be made available to all of us so that we can see the listed points in it. But I'm sure that the focused areas between the two nations, ranging from co-investments to science and technology, to this currency settlement, to this FTA, to innovative healthcare, must be there in the document.
Yes, certainly. Ambassador Bhattacharya, in terms of how investments have gone between India and the UAE has invested close to $12 billion so far in India, and there is tremendous scope to enhance that as well, isn't there?
There is certainly a much greater scope. We have been working very closely with our partners in the Gulf. And as you know, the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi have been our principal sources of investment. And this has happened in a number of sectors, not only in the energy sector, which of course is a natural corollary of the very deep partnership that we have in that sector. But as I was mentioning, it has expanded into other sectors such as infrastructure, logistics, communications. And now we also have UAE-based companies which are getting into retail and development of housing estates. So it's an expanded
पर्सनल रिलेशंस हो गए और खासकर
मिस्टर भंडारी जी, आपको हम रोकना चाहेंगे क्योंकि जो तस्वीरें अभी इस वक्त हम दिखा रहे हैं वही
We can see some images again of the two leaders there. the launch of a new card, as was mentioned, using Indian technology in the UAE. Already UPI there in the UAE being used there, and now a new card has been launched as well. It's powered by RuPay, which is the payment system that has been developed in India, and now that is being used. That's a card for the UAE president himself. It has its name, his name as well. So there you can see that is being used by the UAE president in those images. Ambassador Bhattacharya, if I could come to you again and ask you to comment on what we're seeing here. This is a card that is powered by RuPay, which has been made for the UAE president himself, and he's apparently made a purchase with it as well.
Solid and so ever-growing that we are very confidently able to march into the technologies of the future rather seamlessly. There are two things that have happened in recent times. One is about financial transactions, and this is particularly to use the UPI system, which is now gaining acceptance in many parts of the world, which shows the robustness of the UPI system. The number of transactions that are done on the UPI exceeds that of any other payment gateway anywhere in the world. And the robustness of that particular structure, the security features are very strong. The second thing that was done, and this is probably what they're referring to, that's what was proposed to be done, is about the use of biometrics. You see that chip over there, it'll have the biometric features of individuals, which will provide even greater security in the exchanges. Now, in today's world, where financial fungibility is becoming more common, it is important to have certain securities and safeguards as well as to enhance the capabilities of that particular structure. So when you insert biometrics into this, as we do into various other documents as well, for instance, in passports, then the safety and security and efficiency of that particular transaction becomes multiplied. The ability to kind of connect different transactions over a broad spreadsheet also is enhanced. This is something that we had been working with the Emirates on for some time, and I'm so happy to see that it is being launched now by the leaders themselves.
Yes, it's a debit and credit card system called Jaivan. I think that name is mentioned on the card as well, and it's a card for the UAE president, and it's powered by UK, that's India's indigenous technology. Anshu, Joshi, these images themselves really a testament to how not just India has been progressing as far as fintech is concerned in different fields of technology, but the kind of relations that India is forging with that prowess with other countries as well, isn't it?
Absolutely right, Gautam. That's what our Prime Minister says. Yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai. This is the time and this is the right time. So whatever commitments India is making to the world, it is not only coming up with the transforming the commitments into realities. It is also hand-holding the like-minded nations in this development journey. And what we saw just a couple of seconds ago is a testimony to that. And I would say it's a big milestone in this beautiful journey of bilateral relations between India and UAE. This card spells safe and secure financial inclusivity and financial integration between both the nations. And it will have multi-dimensional positive outcomes. So indeed, what India and UAE were working on since last year, we see that they have converted this project into reality in the form of this payment system, in the form of this card.
Well, certainly, and overall trade will benefit already. We've seen how it's gone up to $85 billion, Ambassador Bhattacharya, in 22-23, and the increment there, if you compare it to the previous year, was 16%. So this is really on the up and up, because both India and UAE are doing pretty well economically, aren't they?
Absolutely. If I may just have a word about that particular snippet that Prime Minister and His Highness released. India has been at the forefront of developing what are called digital public goods. As a member of the Global South and as a prominent voice of the Global South, we feel it is our duty and responsibility to use these very efficient means so that our people can leapfrog the stages of development as we become more prosperous and we have a more stable society. And we are very open, and Prime Minister made this commitment during the G20 as well, that we would use these as open source and we would be very happy to share them with other countries across the world. And therefore, this particular moment, I think, is extremely significant because the two leaders have come together to launch this particular platform. About our economic activity, India has not only become the 5th largest economy globally, but is also the fastest growing major economy in the world. And therefore, the potential that is there in India, not only as a new manufacturing hub, which is one of our priorities, but the incremental growth that we will have will need many more partners. And UAE has proven to be a very long-term, sustainable partner in this regard. As you know, in that region, the Emirates has emerged as an entrepot center for a lot of the trade that happens through that. So in other words, as a hub, the ports of Jebel Ali and others that they have developed have become extremely important in transit trade. India does a lot of our transit trade to the Middle East, to West Asia, and to Africa through that particular connection as well. So the kind of growth that we have seen is not unusual or not unexpected, but I would expect that this is something that will be sustained in the long run. The second feature of that is not just the growth levels, but also the diversification of the product range and the inclusion of new services into this basket, which will make it more vibrant and future-oriented.
Well, definitely. I mean, we've seen even on the investment front how things have really been going in a direction that is on the up again. Professor Joshi, in fact, we've also seen how the UAE and its entities have been among the first investors in Jammu and Kashmir ever since Article 370 was revoked.
Indeed, and that is what I said, that when we look at the relationship between both the nations, especially when we take a deep dive into the economic relations, we find a trusted partnership. And UAE has remained one of the largest trading partners, one of the largest investors in India. And we can also see several UAE-based companies are working in India. And on the other hand, Indian companies also have set up their manufacturing units in past couple of years in UAE. So it's good to see that it's not only about UAE, which is investing in India, particularly in Jammu and Kashmir and other states as well. But it's also a great news to see Indian companies setting up their units in special economic zones in UAE for in the areas of cement or construction materials, engineering products and consumer electronics, tourism, hospitality, healthcare, and retail sector also. So this relationship is mutual, but I do see in terms of numbers, I hope that both the nations think through a way to increase their mutual investment and through which both can excel in this particular economic domain.
Yes, well, certainly, Master Bhattacharya, would you also say that now it's coming to fruition, the kind of investment, the diplomatic investment that India has made, Prime Minister Modi himself has made in this relationship with the UAE, because for the first time when he went, when he became Prime Minister in 2015 to the UAE, that was a Prime Ministerial visit, I believe, after a period of 34 years.
Well, the relationship between India and the Emirates has always been very strong and deep. But Prime Minister has brought a very personal flavor to this, which has changed the nature of the relations and also made it more possible to achieve much more in a shorter period of time. And therefore, the incremental or the exponential growth in our partnership that we've seen in recent years is largely driven by the very strong chemistry that Prime Minister has, not only with His Highness Mohammed bin Zayed in the Emirates, but also with the other leaders in that region. And it has given a new dynamic to the kind of partnership that India has been able to achieve. Let us not forget that India is a very rapidly growing economy with growing geopolitical, geoeconomic interests. And for us to have a very strong partner, a strategic partner in our extended neighborhood in the Gulf region is extremely important. And Prime Minister has focused on this in a very, very deliberate and detailed manner. So the frequency of visits, and he mentioned about it in his opening remarks with His Highness as well, is a testimony to the fact of the very high importance that both sides attach to this partnership. And that factor has played an extremely important role in the very quick development of this relationship. Looking ahead, I think what this does is it promotes an era of trust and transparency, which makes many more things possible. And therefore, we're able to look at, as we keep saying, our relations with the Emirates is really a future-oriented partnership. And therefore, a lot of the attention that is there is in terms of developing technologies, developing those knowledge areas, in developing those partnerships, not just between ourselves, but with other third countries and other major powers, so that we can have greater leverage as we move ahead into the new world.
Certainly, since you spoke about future partnerships, we've already talked about the IMEC, the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. But something else happened at G20 as well that India hosted last in September, the Global Biofuel Alliance. Professor Joshi, do you think that is again something that India and UAE are very well invested in? Because both see that what needs to be done is this transition, the kind of mix that we have, the energy mix that we have. We need more renewables and biofuels form a part of that, and they'll take that forward as well?
I'm really happy to see that UAE, which is a hub of conventional sources of energy, wants to diversify its economy by investing into research, development, and production of renewable sources of energy. And there we can see this biofuel alliance, which I take as a big success of India at the end of this G20 summit under its presidency. This biofuel alliance spells hope, apart from an opportunity to the nations of Global South to grow in terms of leveraging unconventional ways, renewable ways of energy, biologically made fuels. And at the same time, I would also like to bring into the discussion the solar alliance. India only pioneered this solar alliance, and there also I do see a contribution of all these nations, including UAE, to convert this world into a hub of one grid, one energy system, wherein entire world can be benefited by these renewable sources of energy. So indeed, this biofuel alliance speaks a lot. So does this solar alliance. And that is where I see that trilaterally among India, France, and UAE, and then quadrilaterally I2U2, wherein both India and UAE are playing as significant partners, and at different multilateral levels as well, as in United Nations, or for that matter BRICS, or for that matter G20. Both the nations are working continuously to contribute to sustainable development, to green energy, to clean energy.
Well, certainly. You mentioned BRICS as well. Now, the UAE has just got an entry into BRICS as well, and it will see a formal participation the next time the nations meet. Now, Ambassador Bhattacharya, do you feel that the kind of dynamism that we've seen in the bilateral ties between India and the UAE, do you think that dynamism will also be extended further in BRICS too?
I'm quite positive that the Emirates will play a very, very positive role in the development of BRICS. BRICS, as you know, evolved from a 4-member group to a 5-member group and is now a 10-member group. And the addition of new members at this stage was extremely critical and useful. What has happened is that in some ways, the gravity of economic activity has moved a little bit towards Asia. And therefore, it was important to have a greater voice for Asian countries in global decision-making and in global management issues regarding many of the issues that are currently they are not fully a part of. And therefore, BRICS plays an extremely important discussion role. But more than just the discussion that happens in BRICS, there is an extremely important element that is often overlooked in the BRICS format, but it actually happens. And that is the tangible cooperation that BRICS nations bring among themselves in terms of projects and policies and assimilation of ideas, and also the effect and impact that it has through the new development bank, which is the BRICS Bank, in other words, in development projects in other parts of the world. So BRICS plays an extremely significant role in the development path, particularly at a time when multilateralism has become a little weak and sluggish, and plurilateralism has become more the course of the day. The reason why you see G20 is so much more active is because we are not always getting the returns in the multilateral forum or in the smaller G7 kind of format, and therefore more members being part of the decision-making process of major global and regional issues is always a great idea. The Emirates has always shown that it has got very, very capable diplomats, and it also has a vision, not only for itself and its people, but for the region and beyond. And therefore, the participation of the Emirates in a number of regional fora has been very, very important and has contributed enormously to regional development endeavors. So I think, particularly in the context of BRICS, which has a very tangible set of sectoral cooperation amongst the members, which also has its contributions for non-members of BRICS, and which plays a very good cohesive part in terms of defining and discussing global issues. And when they go to the multilateral forum, for instance, the discussions that BRICS has on climate change issues, when they go to the COP, plays a very important role. And as you know, the Emirates led the COP recently. So these are extremely important developments.
Definitely. Well, I'm joined now by Meghna Dev, my colleague in Abu Dhabi, who's at that stadium where Modi, welcome Modi, the event, the diaspora event will be taking place a little later in the evening, rather. Meghna, we've just had the bilaterals taking place between the UAE President, our Prime Minister as well. What can you tell us about the kind of exchanges they had, especially the kind of pacts that were exchanged?
Treaty holds much progress between both the countries, but besides that, we'll have to see how many countries are signed for the matter, or in what sectors have they been signed. But obviously, Prime Minister Modi during the statement said that the community event that is happening in the evening in Abu Dhabi, he thanked the leadership as well, leadership of UAE, for making this possible. This scale of the community event that's taking place in Abu Dhabi, and behind me you can see all the participants of today's event, people from the diaspora are also here. I will speak to Nishiti, who she's also coordinating, one of the volunteers at the event. How's it shaping up? We have been seeing a lot of crowd, all enthusiasm. People are really excited here.
We would like to have the party have to make sure and then and Azan, that's why I can break with the Azan break, then continue the party.
Yeah. So definitely what we see is that a lot of enthusiasm. Besides that, also a complete display and showcase of Indian tradition art and culture, music and dance to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi at this event, Ahlan Modi, in the Zayed Sports City Stadium. Definitely one of the most important events for today. Tomorrow we have obviously Prime Minister's keynote address at the World Government Summit, and then the BAP's Hindu temple inauguration as well.
Certainly, Meghna, we all look forward to the event that is to unfold today. That is a diaspora event, a stadium full of people looking forward to hear Prime Minister Modi, to cheer for him as well, and for India. The kind of association that they have, the affiliation that they have with their home country is quite remarkable. We've seen that in the years in the past as well, and we'll see another glimpse of that this evening too. Thanks for joining us for the moment, Meghna Dev. So we're moving gradually to that part of Prime Minister Modi's engagement, still moving from the bilaterals towards the public event that will take place with the Indian diaspora. And the Indian diaspora, we've been talking about that as well. Professor Anshu Joshi, very strong, a huge contributor to the economy of the UAE, more than 3.5 million people there. And the profile is also, it seems, changing from blue collar to white collar and executives.
You are absolutely right, Gautam. We not only have a very strong diaspora in terms of numbers in UAE, we should also look at their capabilities. So you aptly said gradually our people in terms of their skill sets have changed from blue collar to white collar. And that change we can see globally. And that is why this diaspora has a good contribution to all-inclusive development of any nation wherein they live. So here in this case of UAE, we do see this powerful diaspora, and this diaspora also spreads the message of Indian philosophy that believes in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam in UAE also, and we can see the manifestation of the power of this diaspora, and more than this power, their positive contribution to the development of UAE in the form of this temple being built, which our Prime Minister would be inaugurating tomorrow. And I can also see colorful, beautiful visuals. I think some parade or dance is going on there in this huge stadium, wherein we can see dancers, we can see artists from different parts of India who must be living in UAE, and they carry Indian values, they carry new India's power with themselves. And so I believe that the relationship between both the nations would scale new heights with the contribution of this diaspora that actually increases the soft power of India, and India has been leveraging this soft power in terms of strengthening its bilateral relations and elevating these relations to strategic partnership with many countries, including UAE. So definitely it looks like a beautiful picture wherein we can see Indians performing, welcoming India's Prime Minister on the soil of UAE, and this will be reflected, this will be translated in the form of significant diplomatic MOUs and programs between the two nations.
Well, certainly we can expect that to happen, and we are already seeing that happening in this trip as well. The agreement that is taking place on investment is pretty significant, and in terms of investment as well, Ambassador Bhattacharya, we've seen how that has also been ramped up by the UAE in India, because the FDI, UAE was the fourth largest source of FDI in India at $3.5 billion in 22-23.
Well, the economic content of the relationship is something in which there is natural symmetry. I would like to go back to the issue about our diaspora connections, because I think in many ways the contribution of the Indian community, the Indian diaspora in the Emirates, is always recognized by the leadership, of the Emirates. Also, Prime Minister also mentioned about the love and affection that the UAE leadership has shown to the Indian community over there, and how he referred to the permissions given for the opening of the temple. The UAE has a very liberal approach towards the assimilation of different cultures. And this is something that has made it possible for different communities to live in harmony and have a growth-oriented approach. And the benefit of that is in the kind of future-oriented partnerships that we see. You were mentioning about the economic relations, about trade and investment. That's something that's going to go up, about the collaborations in technology, which is something that we are engaged on. There are special groups, the setting up of institutions, which are trying to divert this, focus this into certain areas of the future interest. And finally, so that, the economies and the politics of it can work together as to how we can build institutions in which there is appropriate and adequate representation of the developing countries, of the developed world, so that decisions can be taken for the betterment of mankind.
Well, certainly, and that is what we're looking at in terms of how India and UAE are taking their relationship forward, enhancing their cooperation in multiple fields, even in the field of digital currency. We've already had an MOU on that, both the countries working on that field as well, Dr. Anshu Joshi. So today it was a RuPay card. Later on, perhaps we will see more unfolding in the financial space, where how the two currencies, the two economies interact with each other on the basis of currencies. There will be a paradigm shift.
Yes, it's going to be a paradigm shift, and looking at this RuPay card filled my heart with delight. I would just like to give an example over here. In past few years, we have developed ourselves into a hub of cultural and spiritual tourism as well. So apart from the possibilities of UAE's investment into this particular domain, you just now consider using this card in India, or for that matter in UAE. So this not only provides the ease of payment into the local form of currency to the person who is using this card, it is also very safe and secure in nature, as we could see that biometrics was used in it. And India has emerged as a pioneer of such kind of innovative technologies. And apart from using such kind of technologies, the outcome is great, as in when we look at the economic partnership between the two nations, such kind of facilities, such kind of technologies not only connect the two governments, such kind of technologies also connect people of the two nations with the ease they provide to the users, and the kind of connect they create between, in this particular case, currencies of the two nations.
Well, certainly we are seeing a lot of progress being made in every direction where different kinds of investments are concerned. Even in terms of food security, I believe India and UAE are moving together to ensure that that is something that is never put at risk under any circumstances, because there was a challenge to the world with what happened in Ukraine as well, Ambassador Bhattacharya, and the two countries are working together to address any such future challenges as well.
Yeah, particularly when COVID had broken out, we realized that we needed to go into new areas of security so that the sectoral aspects of our collaboration are beneficial for the peoples in both our lands. Food security and health security were two issues on which we began very intensive work at that time. Today, with Ramadan coming up in not such a long distance away, this issue becomes very much more important. We have found that disturbances, whether they are natural or man-made, often create these insecurities in food and health. And therefore, it is important for us to build systems so that these flows can happen naturally. What we had done in the early days after the Ukraine war was to open up our wheat markets, as you would recall. We had also opened up sugar at that time so that exports to friendly countries could happen uninterrupted, and they could have the assurance that the food security aspects would be maintained. And I must mention that this is actually a two-way street, because while a lot of food items go from India towards the Gulf region, there are many inputs for our food which come from that region, particularly phosphates and fertilizer inputs which come from that region. So it's not something that we are just being kind and generous about it, but it's something that goes both ways. The other aspect, and I wanted to mention about the health security, is because that's a really emerging area of collaboration. When COVID broke out, of course, we were fortunate that we had an advantage in terms not only of the vaccines that were required, but also in terms of a large number of pharmaceuticals and parapharmaceutical equipment and other accessories that we were producing in our country, which we were able to then supply to the rest of the world. And therefore, the kind of support that we were able to give to the global community in terms of health security was extremely important. But with the UAE in particular, we have taken this many steps forward, because what we have built is an IT-based, data-based research into how we can provide medtech facilities to people on both sides. And joint research that is happening is not only in terms of the hospitals that are being set up in the UAE or the kind of S&T establishments for research that are collaborating in various areas of medicine and health sciences that will help our people. And through UAE, which is a hub, a natural hub in that region, for that region, and actually goes into West Asia and Africa, we will have a much larger footprint for the objectives of both food and health security.
Well, certainly. And Professor Joshi, you mentioned education as well in terms of an area where cooperation can be taken forward further as well. And we already have a first campus of the IIT, which is to start enrollments, or has already probably started enrollments from this year itself. So do you think this is an area which will be, which is being explored further between India and UAE, particularly technical education, higher technical education?
Being a teacher myself, I would say that it should be a prioritized area for both the nations to enhance their partnership in. Of course, apart from opening the IIT campuses and focusing on technical education, both the nations may focus on cultural and academic exchanges. So we all know that how there is a focus on different languages, as in people from India want to learn the foreign languages and vice versa. So in the area of languages, in the area of linguistics, in the area of social sciences, apart from the area of core or applied sciences, both the nations can come up with an agreement or with an MOU to enhance academic, technical and cultural exchanges among the students as well as the academicians, because at present, with our national education policy, we have taken a shift in our conventional education strategy, and we have created a new strategy wherein we are focusing more on research-oriented, all-inclusive education, and we are no more focusing on marks-oriented education. So with this kind of shift, we definitely look forward to other like-minded nations like UAE, wherein we can take forward this kind of a policy and the kind of message we want to give to the world, to give an education that is based on values, that is based on history, that is based on research, and so on. So considering that there is a humongous possibility for both the nations to come up and work together as educational partners.
Yes, certainly. That is something that perhaps will be further explored as well. And we're also talking about how investment can be further enhanced. And there are these funds that the UAE has, which have been mentioned, might use the gift city route as well, because it's tax neutral. Do you think there is a scope for progress there as well, Ambassador Bhattacharya?
There has been a fair amount of discussion on this regarding the use of their sovereign wealth funds that the Emirates has for various projects in India. They are already invested in a number of projects. We have also given or extended certain facilities to these wealth funds and to these investment funds that the Emirates has, so that they have a preferential status which is comparable with what some of the other offshore centers of finance have, for instance, like the Mauritius or the Singapore based funds. And therefore, today they are on a much more level field in terms of the opportunities or the structure that is made available to them, which should significantly enhance their potential. The gift city that you mentioned provides a huge opportunity for offshoring of funds within the territory of India, because, as you know, the gift city runs its own norms, which are in consonance with the RBI norms, the Reserve Bank norms, but are actually done in a somewhat autonomous manner. And that provides a much greater level of transparency as well as opportunity to large investment funds which are looking for wider operations. Today, I think the investments that are happening are largely focused on three different areas in terms of the future investments. The first is technology related, or the ones that are the future technologies. Many of that is data centric, and India and the Emirates have both G2G as well as B2B business collaborations which are discussing these issues to set up cooperation and set up actual companies that are going to work in that. The second area in which we are looking at is the very broad sector of infrastructure. And a lot of the investment funds, for instance, that you referred to would find great potential in many of these infrastructure aspects, because logistics is important, energy is important, and the UAE's priorities for its investment funds are much more closely aligned with India's priorities at present. The third area in which we are looking at is the upgradation of human capacity. And in that, there is a broad range of things. And I think, the education sector is one of those. Apart from high-level technical education, we are also collaborating very closely in the area of skills, because at the end of the day, with about 9 million people of Indian origin who live and work in the Gulf region, many of whom are blue-collar workers, the skill levels are very important. And we've set up a cooperation program with the Emirates as well as with Saudi Arabia, which is particularly looking at skill enhancement, and that's going to be an extremely important part. We're also looking at collaborations in the services sector. These are training particularly for accountants, financial analysts. Saudi Arabia, the stock market is growing very rapidly in Dubai. Financial analysts, actuaries, legal services, and these are the emerging areas in which there's a fair amount of discussion that is going on so that we can set up these collaborations. So as the days unfold, we shall see many of these become much more active and will drive the relationship forward. So investment will take on new forms as well. It will not just be the usual infrastructure or retail or housing which we've had, but it will assume many, many new forms between India and the Emirates.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, India's startups would be hoping that it would flow in their direction as well. We've already seen how in the interim budget itself, the government has taken a major initiative to fund R&D and deep tech startups with that fund that they have announced of 1 lakh crore rupees. And there is something that perhaps India and UAE could also come together to encourage such activities as well, Professor Joshi.
Indeed, and look at the beauty of our leadership, what we have done in past couple of years. We have taken SDGs from the global level. Then we tried to start the programs where we put in these SDGs, and then we successfully ran these programs nationwide. So for example, this Ujjwala Yojana, it not only benefited millions of women in terms of getting rid from using the conventional fuel for cooking purpose. At the same time, we also contributed to green and clean energy. And there are multiple such programs that we ran successfully, and then we showcased these programs in front of the entire world, that look, this is how we took up the global objectives. We used them in our national programs, and then we made it sure that the person sitting at the fag end of our society gets benefited from these programs. So this is what we have done in past couple of years. And in this entire chain, Gautam, from global to local level, India is an undoubted leader from local level to global level. And that's where when we look around and we find countries like UAE that have been supported India and in past couple of years, in all terms, our relationship has elevated to this level of strategic partnership. We can indeed look forward to UAE, and we can start some joint programs. And we can also take these programs from local to state level to a global level. So I hope that tomorrow when we would be able to get some important documents, as in today's MOU or for that matter, other declarations, I think the picture will become clear. But I think the leaders from both the nations seem to be in the same mood.
Yes, certainly. That information is still to come in full detail from the MEA, and we'll get it to our viewers as soon as we have it. But as far as Prime Minister Modi's other events for the day are concerned, the Indian community in the UAE is excited to see Prime Minister Modi among them, as he will inaugurate the BAPS Mandir in Abu Dhabi. That will be tomorrow on the 14th. My colleague Meghna Dev has caught up with the entire environment, the ambience there, along with the Indian diaspora. Take a look.
Is the majestic BAPS Hindu temple, which will be inaugurated on the 14th of February when Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be here on his official visit to UAE. With me are a number of people who are volunteers here and a number of people who are looking at the huge celebration that is going to take place on the 14th of February. Can you spill out on what's the sense like? How excited are people here?
As she mentioned, on the 14th of February, we're going to inaugurate this beautiful mandir that you see behind us. We are very, very excited that the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, is going to come here and inaugurate this in person. Alongside with him will be the inspirer of this mandir, Param Pujya Mahant Swami Maharaj.
So what are the preparations going around? We see, since like half a kilometer or more than that, the preparations are going on. How many people are expected?
We're expecting a lot of people. Thousands of people are expected to come. Thousands more are expected to come once this mandir is open for the public to come and see this masterpiece of architecture, peace, love and harmony.
How much is the excitement in the people here? I see smile on every face and very palpable excitement.
Everyone's very excited. This is a dream come true. We're very thankful to the leaders of the UAE for gifting this land and making our dreams come true.
How do you look at, this Hindu temple when we talk about coming up in UAE?
Definitely, we are very proud. It's a very proud moment for every Indian, I would say. We can show that we are almost there. We are developed now, and there's a lot of things happening in India and in abroad, and it's an amalgamation of UAE and India culture. So we are bringing our culture to the world. So the world is going to celebrate with us. This is what I feel.
When India talks about one family, one earth, one future, this is one of the examples of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, where a beautiful Hindu temple coming up in middle of a desert, we can say, as the volunteers put it, lotus in the middle of a desert. And definitely people are really excited before Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives here on his visit. With camera person Pramod Negi and my colleague Ashwini Mishra, this is Meghna Dev, 4DT India from Abu Dhabi.
And the magnificent Babs temple, largest in Western Asia, it has been ready. It's built with key elements from India. The temple, which sits like a lotus amidst the sand dunes in the UAE, will soon be inaugurated by India's Prime Minister Modi on Wednesday. DD India's Meghna Dev has spoken with Vishal Patel, volunteer at the Babs Hindu temple, on the preparations.
We are inside the Babs Hindu temple, the highly anticipated temple where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be coming, and we'll be inaugurating it on 14th of February on his visit to UAE. Vishal, can you talk to us and tell us more on what are the preparations going around, and what we see is such a majestic view of this temple?
The culmination of what we've seen, the support that we've been given for this temple to be constructed has been phenomenal. And now we've seen everyone really working hard to see the culmination where our Guru Mahant Sai Maharaj is going to be here, and we're going to be joined by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Bhai Modi. And you can see there's a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement, and we're really proud to showcase the unity between the UAE and India. This is the first stone temple in the whole of the Middle East, and it's the largest temple in Western Asia. So to see such a magnificent temple, when you're really up close, it almost feels like you're actually in India. It's only when you go outside and you see the wider perimeter of the sand dunes and the palm trees, really hits home that you're actually in the middle of the UAE.
Many people have been telling us that the 7 spires are actually one of the special attractions, we can say, or one of the specialities of this temple. What do you have to say? Because we have been seeing that gods from different parts of India, their idols have been brought in here.
What makes it very unique is the way that it's been constructed. If you look at the 7 shikhars that you have here, the 7 spires, they actually pay homage to the UAE. They represent each of the 7 emirates. And that's for us to say thank you to the UAE, which is our home for many, many years, for giving this land. Now, within this temple, what differentiates it from many other temples that you find around the world is the unity and the harmony that you will see. We've got murtis coming from the north, south, east and west. We have murtis coming from Tirupati. So Tirupati Balaji's murti is as authentic because it's been provided by the Tirupati Trust. Similarly, when you go to Puri, the Jagannath Ji murti is coming from Puri itself. So it's as authentic as you would find. So every Indian, every Hindu, and even, well-wishers who want to visit will have a taste of India when they come to this mandir.
Absolutely. So when we call it a spiritual sanctuary, it definitely stands ground on what it is being called. We obviously see this beautiful structure. When generally people visit Abu Dhabi, this structure transcends them from the general Abu Dhabi in terms of luxury hotels, racing car arenas and much more, to beautiful spiritual place and everything that depicts Indian craftsmanship, Indian culture, Indian tradition and more. With my colleague Ashwini Mishra and camera person Pramod Negi, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Abu Dhabi.
Well, this indeed will be the highlight event of tomorrow, the 14th of February, Wednesday, when Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate this temple, the first Hindu temple, and a grand one at that, in Abu Dhabi in the UAE. Ambassador Sanjay Bhattacharya, if I could ask you, the story behind this temple is also quite interesting. The way that the way that it has come about in itself is a testament to how India and UAE cooperate and at a very human level, and then again at something that takes place at speed too.
It is indeed a very happy and a very proud moment for all of us to see that this temple is coming up in the Emirates and will be inaugurated tomorrow by Prime Minister. The story is fascinating because, as you know, there was no temple in the Emirates before this. There are a few temples in the Gulf, particularly in Bahrain, but in the rest of that region, there are no temples. And so this is extremely important that our presence of our culture and our civilization is realized and felt over there. The people of the Gulf of the Emirates have always had very amiable ties and very friendly relations with India and Indians. But I think it was this particular thrust that was initiated at the leadership level, and the magnanimity and the generosity of His Highness himself in making available this land. And what a beautiful structure has now been created, which is to be consecrated, to be inaugurated tomorrow, because it will open up to them what UAE has always wanted, to bring about this unity between different faiths. For a long period of time, the Emirates had been trying to work at the unity of the Abrahamic faiths. So, they had set up synagogues and churches in the past. But this is perhaps the first time that they have an experience of the greatness of India's civilization. And what a beautiful monument it is, because it will carry with it a message not only of what is seen in terms of the structures and the murtis inside, but also the attitude, the civilization, the culture of the people that is embodied in it. And that is the beautiful blend that the Emirates also hopes to achieve. And I'm so very, very happy that this has come about in such a beautiful way.
Yes, certainly. And Professor Joshi, this will not only be the showcase of Indian religion, it will show also how diverse India is, because it has artifacts from different parts of the world. So it will be something for all sections of society in the UAE to visit, not just people who are believers in the Hindu faith, right?
Yes, absolutely right. And when we say Hindu, we add culture to it. We always call it Hindu culture. And it is very diverse.
I'm sorry to interrupt you right now, Professor Joshi, but we're getting images right now from Abu Dhabi, where Prime Minister Modi has now arrived, where he'll be staying at the hotel. And there's a contingent of the Indian diaspora there as well to greet him, along with a lot of children. And a song right now is being performed in his honor. It's almost become a norm that wherever Prime Minister Modi goes abroad and he reaches where he is to stay, there's a large part of the Indian contingent that reaches there as well. People who've been staying in those areas waiting to greet India's leader, they reach there and they raise those slogans, and also you saw an impromptu performance perhaps of some songs as well this time around. But the most heartening part, it seemed, was that a majority of this contingent in that Abu Dhabi hotel was made up of children, and that is again something that is quite remarkable, isn't it, Professor Joshi?
Indeed, as the children actually represent the future of any nation, and it was really a delight to see children welcoming the Indian Prime Minister, and wherever he goes, he is warmly welcomed by not only the people of India, but the leaders and the people of that particular nation. And whenever he addresses his diaspora, our people actually, they look forward to him with great hope and great pride, because today's India is different. Today's India stands tall in the global world order. Today's India is known as Vishwa Guru and Vishwa Mitra. So that, with that pride of being an Indian, basically all the people from India, they welcome our honorable Prime Minister wherever he goes. So I can see that joy, I can see that pride on the faces of the Indian diaspora present in UAE presently, people who are welcoming him with great fervor, and children who are performing in front of him, taking his autographs and trying to get pictures clicked with him. And again, this relationship is reciprocal, wherein I see our Prime Minister, I see a smile on his face, I see how he interacts with children, and he loves to be in the company of children. I have seen it several times. So wherever he goes, he develops a bond instantly, not only with our people, but especially with the children. And that is what we can see there. Such a beautiful picture wherein children are greeting him, getting his autographs, performing in front of him, singing songs and so on.